To receive credit for a certificate of completion for ticket dismissal and/or an insurance discount, you must complete the registration process at WirelessDefensiveDriving.com as required by the Texas Education Agency. You may continue to access this information for entertainment purposes only, but unless you register, you will not receive credit or a certificate for insurance or ticket dismissal.
The following presentation is brought to you by WirelessDefensiveDriving.com. Welcome back, traffic offenders. Thanks for staying tuned in the WirelessDefensiveDriving.com course designed to make you safer on the road. Now, once again, here's our host, Chuck Sheffield.
Hello, Mr. Raffone, and hello, panelists. And, of course, welcome back, all you traffic offenders. Panel, alive and well?
We are here and ready for action.
I'm here, but I'm in a bad mood because I want to take a vacation this summer, and I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it.
I'm in the same boat, and I'd like to leave tomorrow.
Man.
And it's expensive to travel, or at least it's expensive to fly.
Yeah.
Well, as a matter of fact, and coincidence, our first topic today is trip planning for those of you who will be taking a vacation, unlike Judy, and might just cut costs by driving.
I might be able to drive. I don't know.
Well, I hope so. Okay, Tony, starting with you. Which of these is not a good tip for staying safer on the road when planning a trip? A. Plan your trip out in advance. B. Have your vehicle checked out by a qualified mechanic before you leave. C. Wear your seatbelt because the seatbelt is one of the most significant safety devices ever invented. Or D. Give your children lots of sugar.
I'm going to say D, no sugar for kids on a car trip.
And that's right.
That's interesting about the seatbelt, though. I remember how weird they seemed when we first started having to use them, and now I can't imagine getting on the road without one.
They really did change everything. Okay, Kathy, which of these is not a good idea for travel? A. Avoid rush hour traffic if at all possible, including traveling at peak hours over major holidays.
Sounds like a smart tip so far.
B. Time your driving for daylight hours only. Poor visibility and fatigue can play major factors in accidents during the night and twilight hours. C. Alter your travel plans during bad weather or when you experience any adverse driving conditions. Or D. Invite your mother-in-law to ride shotgun.
Chuck, that is just wrong. Nobody should have her mother-in-law even in the car on a road trip. I pick D.
That's right, Miss Whiteman. If mom-in-law must come, please stash her safely in the trunk. No, just kidding. Of course. Yeah. Judy, ready?
I pick D. Whatever it is, that's the thing you shouldn't do.
Well, let's not be hasty. Which of these is a bad idea? A. Choose well-marked and well-lighted routes. Make a note of landmarks and exits that can help you navigate. B. Leave your seat and mirrors where they are. C. Turn on your headlights and buckle up your seatbelt every time you drive your car. Using your headlights in the daytime helps other drivers see you. Or D. Drive at the posted speed limits unless weather, traffic, or other adverse conditions indicate otherwise. If you must drive more slowly, stay in the right lane.
Okay, wait. D seemed pretty smart. Still, I guess D.
Sorry. The thing you should not do is leave your seat, belts, and mirrors where they are. You should adjust them for the best visibility, especially if someone else has been driving your car.
That'll teach me to be a smarty pants knower about quizzes.
Well.
Tony, back to you. Now, which is a bad idea? A. Practice good defensive driving techniques and yield right-of-way, never insisting on the right-of-way, even if you're correct. B. Stay in the appropriate lane. Do not weave back and forth between lanes, straddle two lanes, or change lanes near intersections. C. Plan on taking a break every 2 hours. Get out of your car and stretch or take a walk. You can plan driving breaks around mealtimes as well. Or D. When coming to an unexpected slowdown or stoppage of traffic, especially on highways, turn your flashers on and get the attention of the person behind you.
I don't want to fall into a trap like Judy fell into, or maybe like the time tunnel like Doug and Tony, but I'm going to say flashers seem like a good idea. Now, what was the time again on choice C? How often did you say you should take a break?
Every 2 hours.
Yeah, that's wrong. You should stop sooner than every 2 hours.
That's right. You should stop driving after 90 minutes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, sticking with the same format, but moving on to a different topic. We're going to talk about evaluating the traffic environment. There are ways drivers can stay in touch with the environment around them and make the best choices. Kathy, which of these is not an effective strategy? A. Keep your concentration focused on the driving task and use your mirrors to stay aware of all situations around you. B. Plan ahead and anticipate potential hazards such as people exiting their parked vehicles, intersections where left turns are made without yielding, right turns on red in front of you, and children running out from between parked cars are examples of what can cause you to slow down or stop or alter your path dramatically.
Man, I hope that's not the answer. I don't think I can say all that back.
Or C, casually notice all traffic signs and signals, but only pay attention to the ones that directly impact you. Or D, be prepared to anticipate the unexpected actions of other drivers.
I am going to say it's C. You should notice and obey all traffic signals and signs, I say.
And you would be right. Judy, ready to get back in the saddle and ride?
Yippee-ki-yay!
Good. Which is not a good rule. A, keep your distance on a dry road in good weather. Leave at least a 4-second gap, the 4-second rule, between your vehicle and the one in front. B, on wet, slippery roads or in poor visibility, leave at least a 4-second gap, the 4-second rule. C, use your signals to communicate your actions to others. Or D, take particular care when approaching construction sites. Slow down and obey warning signs.
Okay, I know it has to do with the 4-second rule ones, because that couldn't be the right answer to both. I'm going to say the first one, A, was wrong. I think you only need to use the 2-second rule when roads are dry and nothing too out of the ordinary is going on.
And she's back in the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Hey, is there a prize for this contest? I don't remember you saying.
What's that, Judy? Your microphone must be off. Moving on to our next topic, which is anticipating the actions of others. I bet you all know that drivers should stay alert and assume other drivers are going to do the unexpected and know how to react to each move. Now, how can you do that? Anyone?
Well, I always like to keep a cushion of space around my vehicle and have a plan of action in case I need to maneuver around to avoid a crash. Like if a driver turns his head, I expect him to turn and I slow down.
That's exactly right. Now, how can you anticipate whether a vehicle is about to move if you left your crystal ball at home?
Well, I know this. You should watch the front tires. They'll be the first to move, and that will sometimes even happen before the driver has decided he's going to accelerate. Notice I said he. Women drivers make plans and know they're about to accelerate.
Yes, that's
No
right.
comment on the male driver comment. All right, what else? What can you watch for? For instance, on the exterior of the car, that should be a warning sign.
A giant bashed-in fender.
Couldn't hurt. But I'm looking for something else.
Oh, I bet I know. You could look for the out-of-state plates or rental cars or even drivers who have their map out and have their interior lights on. I mean, I don't have a GPS yet, so maybe that guy doesn't either, and he's looking at a map because he's new to the area or just, visiting.
That makes sense. Those drivers could be confused or distracted.
Yeah.
Exactly. What about specific vehicles?
Do you mean like emergency vehicles?
Nope, more commonplace.
Oh, like maybe rental trucks, like U-Haul trailers or trucks.
Yes, sir. These folks are probably more used to driving a car than a truck, which is why they had to rent one.
Oh.
So they may try to drive this huge, long truck like they're driving their car, which can turn out bad. And speaking of trucks, you should always keep a safe distance when you're following trucks with cargo that could spill onto the road. These vehicles could send debris flying into your line of travel or the path of those around you.
Once, when I hadn't had my hot red Chevy Malibu even a week, I was following a truckload of apples in crates. That guy changed lanes all of a sudden, and those crates and apples all emptied into my grill. It was nasty.
Did you just say hot in Chevy Malibu?
Well, it was a different time.
And last but not least, look out for drivers who are backing into the road from a driveway or a parking lot. They may have a limited field of vision.
Check.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about decision making, because let's face it, whenever we get behind the wheel of a car, we're bombarded with decisions to make, both consciously and unconsciously. Who can tell me what some of those are before we even turn the key in the ignition?
Well, we decide where our seat's going to be, pulled up or pushed back. If somebody with different length legs has been driving, we adjust the mirrors.
And we fasten our seat belts, which we know to be the best life-saving invention ever, and make sure everybody else buckles up too.
You're both right. Now, Kathy, what about once we get on the road, when decisions happen faster and more frequently?
Some of the things I do when I'm driving are just reflex.
Right, but sometimes situations present themselves that will require you to make different decisions that are not part of your routine. Now, what are some options you may not have considered?
Well, it would depend on the situation, but say somebody pulls in front of you quickly without a signal. You could change lanes, slow down, stop altogether, although I wouldn't advise doing that on the highway.
What about if somebody's trying to get on the highway and doesn't seem to know how fast to go to get in front of you and emerge successfully?
Well, you could speed up and let them get behind you, or yield to them and let them on, unless they're 100 years old and show no signs of being able to drive the actual speed limit.
Or if something's in your path, you can steer around it, like if something falls off a truck.
Like those apples, if there hadn't been a million of them.
All good ideas. Now, the point is, even with our best efforts, sometimes driving situations require us to make quick maneuvers to avoid a crash. Once a situation has been identified, you have to decide what action you're going to take. Accelerate, steer, slow down, or any combination of these to avoid a crash with real or potential hazard. This means you have to have good judgment time and space to implement the plan of action you've decided upon.
Shouldn't you be sure that your escape path is still available and access space is available? If you have to do something you'd rather not do in order to avoid a crash, I'm thinking you might even have to leave the road.
Well, sometimes it's the only choice open to you. You have to carry out your decided upon action, a process that might range from gently moving toward the left portion of your lane when approaching the vehicle, for instance, parked on the side of the road for repairs.
Like changing a flag.
Exactly. Or it may be more drastic, like taking emergency measures to avoid a crash. Truth is, drivers skilled in implementing avoidance maneuvers will increase the more experience they have. So don't count on your 16-year-old to have the best judgment.
I was a really bad driver until I was about 20. There were just too many distractions.
I hear you. Now it's time to play. Compensating for the mistakes of other drivers. And as you all know, Judy's grandfather used to say that she should drive like everybody else on the road is an idiot.
Did I tell that story?
And so we're going to explore how we can expect the unexpected from our fellow drivers and be prepared for it. Quick, Kathy, how can we be prepared for everybody on the road to be goofus?
Lord, yes. We can scan the road ahead to see who's up there and what they're likely to be doing. And we can use even more caution if the weather's bad.
Wow, extra credit for bad weather edition.
Girl.
What else, Tony?
We can maintain a safe following distance.
That's right, because one of the biggest causes of accidents is following too close. Use the
2-second rule.
Yeah, what she said.
We'd hop as I taught you well. All right, what else?
Yield right of way, and don't be a moron when you're turning and changing lanes. Use your signals early and check your mirrors to monitor traffic around you.
Perfect. What else?
You should keep a cushion of space around your car and have a plan of action and the space around you so you can escape and avoid a crash.
That's right. If the driver behind you is tailgating you, they're encroaching on your safety cushion. You can't quickly slow down or stop effectively with them on your rear bumper.
Well, what can you do about it? If somebody's riding your behind, you can't very well get out a bazooka and blast them.
No, but you shouldn't panic. And you should stay calm and try what, ladies?
To safely change lanes,
Slow down and let them get around you.
tap your brakes slightly to let them know they're too close.
Speed up.
Not delivered with much conviction, but indeed, all are correct. Now we're going to discuss common driving errors, some of which may have necessitated the taking of this defensive driving course.
Entertaining though it might be.
Indeed. Okay, let's work on aggressive driving now.
So can we go back to that multiple choice game? That was fun and kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I had the very same idea.
Yay.
How many fatal crashes are the result of aggressive driving? A, none. B, 100%. C, 56%. Or D, less than 2%. Most of them are caused by distracting billboards.
I think it's C, 56%.
And you are exactly right. According to a study on driving habits from the Surface Transportation Policy Partnership, which classified aggressive driving as speeding, tailgating, failing to yield, weaving in and out of traffic, making improper and unsafe lane changes, and running stop signs and red lights. Whew. Most drivers admit to making the same mistakes they hate to see other drivers commit.
That sounds about right. I think we're all guilty of all those bad habits sometimes.
Well, I'm afraid so. Okay, now we move to mobile devices.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy is right. People who send text messages while driving are 23 times more likely to be in a crash, or what they call a near-crash event, than non-distracted drivers. Which group is more likely to take their eyes off the road to concentrate on cell phones, iPods, and instant messaging gadgets? A, senior citizens. B, Hare Krishnas. C, the Irish. Or D, teenagers.
Oh, this is tough. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a person wearing a sheet and they were texting. But I'm going to say D, rotten teenagers.
And right you are. They're also, unfortunately, the age group most likely to impress their friends with this latest eye gadgets by taking risks behind the wheel. Now, the National Safety Council points out that traffic crashes are the leading cause of fatalities in teens, accounting for 44% of deaths. Cell phone and texting laws are changing quickly. The National Safety Council estimates about 28% of crashes, or 1.6 million a year, result in, at least in part, from drivers talking or texting on cell phones. In crashes or near crashes, texting took a driver's focus away from the road for an average of 4.6 seconds. It's enough time to travel the length of a football field at 55 miles an hour.
Oh, man, that makes my heart hurt.
There's hope on the horizon, however. In Texas, 2 new laws are in effect. One bans teen drivers from using cell phones and text messaging devices, and the other prohibits drivers from using handheld cell phones in school crossing zones. In the first law, how long are teen drivers prohibited from using cell phones? A, for the first 6 months of driving. B, until they have chest hair, if they're boys. C, until they have graduated from high school. Or D, until they realize their parents are, in fact, smart.
How I wish it was D. However, the first 6 months of driving, A.
That is right, and a step in the right direction. Drivers under the age of 17 with restricted licenses are prohibited from using wireless communication devices. And what other group is prohibited from using cell phones while driving if children are present? A, ice cream truck drivers. B, school bus operators. C, all fathers. D, older teenagers who are begrudgingly taking their siblings to school.
I think the answer is B, school bus drivers, but I would like to say that probably none of the above have any business talking on a cell phone, period.
I'd have to agree. In fact, all drivers are prohibited from using handheld devices in school crossing zones.
Chuck, this was expanded to include the property of the school. It does not apply to vehicles that are stopped or drivers using a hands-free device. Also, in 2013, you can use your cell phone to display your proof of insurance. By doing so, the law officer or any other person does not have the right to access the contents of the phone.
Now, who can name a Texas city in which local distracted driving laws have been enacted?
Dallas and Austin.
I think I remember seeing signs in Galveston.
That's right. The other cities are Missouri City, El Paso, and Stephenville.
You know what I think? Cell phone laws are changing all the time as more and more people get them and find different ways to use them and distract themselves.
Smart woman. Check with your city for current regulations. Okay, now, quick, Judy, what are some other common driving errors that can be avoided?
Failure to yield right-of-way. In every list so far, one of the items has been failure to yield right-of-way, so I'm pretty sure I'm safe.
You're right. Believe it or not. What are some more?
Pushing the wrong pedal.
Oh, when we lived in Irving, a lady pushed the wrong pedal and drove through the wall of a yogurt shop.
Oh, man, she must have wanted that yogurt bad.
I remember that. And hey, and here's another one. Driving while upset.
Oh.
When you're all mad, you had a fight with your husband, and you don't know what you're going to do about the money, you're just not smart behind the wheel.
I say speeding and tailgating.
Another 2 things that are on every list.
Yeah.
He's right, though. They're on this one, too.
What about not wearing your seatbelt?
Good. More?
Driving while tired.
I'd never go home from work. What about driving into water? If there's water in the road, you shouldn't drive into it. You should check and see how deep it is before trying to cross.
Yeah.
Very good. Don't be fooled into thinking that a four-wheel drive truck can act like a duck boat. 12 inches of water can float many cars.
Is that the whole list?
Nope. More driving errors can be avoided.
Turn your lights on if your car doesn't have the ones that automatically come on. It's easier for other drivers to see you.
I know one. Check your tire pressure.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. How do you know how much air is supposed to be in your tires?
Yeah.
I've heard conflicting things.
If I may, you should look in your car's owner's manual and keep them at the pressure it says there.
Well, that was easy.
One more.
Tailgating.
Oh, we said that one already.
Oh.
Well, it's a good one to reiterate. Don't ride on someone's bumper. Okay, good, panel. You did great.
Yay.
It's time to talk about other interaction with other road users.
This has all been about sharing the road with other drivers. What do you mean?
I mean specific other vehicles like motorcycles and mopeds.
You know, I'm glad to be talking about this. Motorcyclists scare me. I can't imagine riding around open and exposed like that, and I'm always nervous I'm not going to see one of them when I'm in my car.
Judy, you're not the only one. In fact, the legislation passed a law that said if your motorcycle is designed to carry a passenger, then the passenger has to have handholds and a footrest to protect them.
Motorcycles have the same rights and privileges as any vehicle on the road. and half of all motorcycle crashes involve another vehicle. Can you tell me why this is? And there are several reasons.
Well, for one thing, people who are driving cars just naturally look for other cars, not motorcycles.
Yeah, but motorcycles are much smaller than cars and difficult to see. Since motorcycles have a much smaller profile than other vehicles, it can be more difficult to judge their speed and the distance of an approaching motorcycle.
That's right. They have a much smaller profile than the profile of the larger vehicles, which can make it tough to judge the speed and distance of an approaching motorcycle.
They're just smaller. They're harder to see.
They also have to dart around to avoid things that wouldn't be as harmful for cars, I bet. Stuff like potholes, sewer covers, debris, even big cracks in the road could cause serious motorcycle trouble. But what I want to know is, why are they so noisy? Don't they have a muffler on this thing?
Well, they have loud mufflers on purpose, Tony, so that car drivers can hear them and avoid them.
Oh, that is funny. I never knew that.
Live and learn.
Wow.
Okay, now there's several high-risk situations in which drivers should pay extra attention to motorcyclists. Who can name one?
How about when making left turns?
Right. The most common crash between cars and motorcycles is in an intersection when the automobile driver is making a left turn in front of a motorcycle. Over 40% of all motorcycle crashes occur at intersections. Now, can you guess what percentage of those crashes were caused by the car turning left in front of the motorcycle?
More than half, I'll bet.
A whopping 66%.
Whoa.
When else should you take extra care to notice if there's a motorcycle?
In your blind spot, I mean, a car could be there too, but a motorcycle could hide there more easily because it's little.
Right. We should always make a visual check for the motorcycle by taking a quick look in the mirrors and blind spots before entering or leaving a lane of traffic and at intersections. Any others?
What about when road conditions are hazardous, like construction or something? It wouldn't be a big deal to my big old SUV, but a motorcycle might really have to speed up or swerve around something within a lane if there's something like, well, not just construction, but like gravel or wet or slippery surfaces, pavement seams, railroad crossings, groove pavement, and some of the other scary things we've just been talking about.
Or for that matter, weather conditions. If a car's braking and steering are affected by rain or ice, imagine what it does to a little motorcycle.
I'm thinking not just rain, but like drainage or overflowing sprinklers.
And you are right. What else, since we're talking about the weather?
Ice.
We said ice and rain.
Man, I don't know. Nothing's coming to mind.
What about strong winds?
Oh, of course, I don't know why I didn't think of wind.
A strong gust of wind can move a motorcycle across an entire lane if the rider isn't prepared for it and wind can't be seen. Wind gusts from large trucks on the other lane can be a real hazard.
What about big vehicles like vans or a bus or a big 18-wheeler? They could block the driver's ability to see a motorcycle, and then he just pops out of nowhere.
Very good. So do these things to make the streets and roads safer for everyone. Look out for motorcyclists. Be aware that although you may not see any cars, there may be an unnoticed motorcycle. Be careful at intersections and always take a second look for a motorcycle before making a left turn, especially, oh, and listen, see if you can hear that loud muffler. Judy, what's another step the drivers can take?
Well, let me get back to the subject matter at hand. My mind was wandering a little bit. Oh, I know. Anticipate what a motorcycle might be about to do. They may have to change positions in the lane because of road conditions, weather, or all kinds of things. Give them room and think about what they might be about to do.
Yes, and always, always use your signal before you change lanes or merge. That way, someone on a motorcycle can anticipate traffic flow and find a safe lane position.
I don't know if this is a good idea if I'm just OCD, but I like to signal even if I don't see any cars or motorcycles around me. It's just easier to always do it.
Actually, very good. Give your signal no matter what. What about left turns and across traffic?
Well, we've already talked about how important it is to look for motorcycles when we're turning left.
Yes, but it's important enough to repeat. And remember, look in all directions for motorcycles. Don't be fooled by flashing turn signals on a motorcycle. The driver may have forgotten to turn them off if they don't have self-canceling turn signals. Wait to be sure the motorcycle is going to turn before proceeding.
Surely that is all there is to discuss about motorcycles. I am getting a little fidgety.
Me too. Look carefully to see there's not a motorcycle there. The end.
Yeah.
Not quite. Drivers need to learn to respect motorcycles. Allow the motorcyclist a full lane width, the same they would have if they were driving a car. It may seem like there's enough room in a lane for a car and a motorcycle, but the motorcycle is entitled to their full lane, so don't attempt to share theirs.
Okay, is that the end? I'm getting fidgety too now, and my underwear is bunching.
One last point, and then we'll move on to bicycles. Allow plenty of space when you're following a motorcycle. The slightest contact can mean a spill and an injury to the rider. Allow even more following distance than the usual 2. Leave 3 or 4 seconds, so they'll have enough time to do what they need to do in case of an emergency. In dry conditions, motorcycles can stop more quickly than a car.
Well, that's good at least.
Okay, let's talk about bicycle law and safety. What do you think, panel? Does a person riding a bike have the same rights and duties as a car or truck driver?
The answer is probably yes, but it doesn't seem like that should be the deal. I mean, they can't go as fast as cars.
Actually, the rule states that they have the same rights and duties unless the nature of the law cannot apply to bikes, like going 40 miles an hour, for example. Sounds like it's time for a round of Stump the Caller. Mike, do we have anybody on the line who's just dying to talk to us? Oh, okay. Well, so call in, listeners. Let's see how much you know about safely riding a bicycle.
Chuck, we do have someone on the line. Officer Sam Miller is on line 1.
Good. Hello, Officer Miller.
How are you today, sir?
Well, I'm just fine. I can't say we've ever had a police officer to call in the show before, but we're glad to have you. All right, here's your first question about bike safety. Officer Miller, should a bicyclist...
A bicyclist should always obey all traffic laws, signs, and signals, yes?
Well, yes. That's what I was going to ask. Funny. Okay. Next question for our caller. A bicyclist should...
Never ride opposite the flow of traffic.
This is kind of spooky, but you're right. All right, next. A bicyclist is required to...
Stop at all signs and stop at red lights.
You're right, officer. Did you say your name was Amazing Officer Houdini?
No, sir, just Officer Sam Miller.
What about this? A person operating a bike on a roadway who is moving slower than the other traffic on the roadway shall ride...
He's going to ride as near as possible to the right curb or the edge of the roadway or to the left curb on a one-way street, unless the person is overtaking and passing another vehicle proceeding in the same direction, or the person is preparing for a left turn at an intersection or onto a private road or driveway.
Yes, or unless...
Unless there are unsafe conditions in the roadway, such as a fixed or moving object, parked or moving vehicles, pedestrians, animals, potholes, or debris, or the lane is too narrow for a bicycle and or motor vehicle to safely travel side by side.
Yes. All right. Persons riding two abreast cannot...
impede the normal flow of traffic and must ride in single lane.
Okay. Officer Sam, it's great to have an expert on the show.
My pleasure, just doing my job.
Okay. Bye now. Ooh, that was creepy.
Sounded cute.
He sounded like he had a copy of the manual.
Yeah.
Taking another call. Hello, and to whom am I speaking?
Yes, I forgot to say that nighttime riders must have a lamp on the front of their bikes that shall emit a white light that can be seen at least 500 feet in front of the bicycle, and also a red reflector on the rear, which shall be visible from distances of 50 to 300 feet. Would you like to know the 3 most common car-bicycle crashes?
You know, I don't think so right now. Bye, Officer Sam.
Well, let me name them so that we don't have to talk to him anymore.
Please, now I'm feeling a little dizzy.
I think they're 1, a motorist turning left in the face of oncoming bike traffic, 2, a motorist turning right across the path of the bicycle traffic, and 3, a motorist pulling away from a stop sign, failing to yield right of way to bicycle cross traffic. Because, panel and Chuck, at intersections, right of way rules apply to motor vehicles and bicycles.
Girlfriend, you sounded like Officer Sam just a little bit yourself right then.
What can I say? I really didn't want him to get through again.
All right, let's clear our heads and move on and talk about trucks.
Chuck, are you up for one more call?
Chuck, don't do it.
Just make sure it's not Officer
Oh,
Sam.
I guess so. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I think so.
Oof, not him.
Well, caller, can you tell me this about passing trucks on the highway? Drivers should check their front and rear, then signal, and then do what?
I don't know.
Well, you're supposed to move into the passing lane when it's safe. Let the truck driver know you are passing by blinking your headlights, especially at night. The driver will make it easier for you by staying as far to the right in that lane.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's try again. On a level highway, how much longer does it take to pass a truck than pass a car?
I guess an hour.
No, only 3 to 5 seconds longer. On an upgrade, a truck often loses speed, so it's actually a lot easier to pass them than a car.
Huh, that is something.
Now, what about on a downgrade?
What about it?
How about passing time?
I'm not real sure right now.
On a downgrade, the truck's momentum will cause it to travel faster, so you may need to increase your speed.
That is interesting. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, bye.
Now that is my kind of caller.
She knew nothing. She needs to up her medication.
I'm relieved a bit myself. Whew. Well, panel, I bet you all know what you're supposed to pass a truck as quickly as possible and don't stay alongside the truck.
Right, we do know that.
What does it mean if a truck driver blinks his headlights?
It means it's clear and you can pull back in front of the truck.
Right you are. If he doesn't blink his headlights, when is it safe to move back over?
When you can see the truck in your rearview mirror?
Yes, after you pass the truck, maintain your speed. And remember, his momentum will increase his speed going downhill. So if you have to pass on a hill, accelerate. Now, when a truck passes you, what should you do?
Keep to the far side of your lane.
Slow down or keep your same speed, but don't speed up.
After the truck is passed, he should signal you to let you know he'll be coming back over into your lane.
Y'all are my favorites.
I've always wanted to be teacher's pet.
Remember, tractor-trailers take longer to stop than cars traveling at the same speed. Now, a car traveling 55 miles an hour can stop in about 240 feet, or about 3/4 of a football field. A tractor-trailer may take 400 feet, or half a football field longer.
I pretty much need everything compared to a football field in order to understand it.
I thought as much. All right, now, talk to me about trucks' blind spot.
Well, you should stay out of it when you're behind a truck. You should be able to see the truck driver in the truck's rear view mirror. By staying a little farther back, you'll be able to see more of the road ahead and have more time to react and make a safe stop if something happens up ahead.
Like a giant truckload of apples in crates.
Just saying.
That affected you, didn't it?
It scarred me.
What about if you're stopped behind a truck on a hill or an upgrade? What should you do?
You should leave some extra space in case it drifts a little backward when it starts to move.
Man, that happened to me once when I drove a stick for the first time after a few years. I still remembered how, but I did slide a little bit on my first hill.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, I thought my fellow panelists might want to share my experience with me.
I'm impressed you even knew how to drive a stick.
VW Beetles, baby.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Back to trucks, if we might. What about trucks turning?
Well, they can make wide, tight turns, and sometimes they have to leave an open space to the right just before they turn, so they don't be an idiot and pass a truck on the right if they might be about to turn right.
Yes, sir. Couldn't have said it better myself. Which of these is not a common mistake drivers should avoid when driving around trucks and buses? Kathy, you want the first one?
Hit me.
Which of these is not a common mistake? A, cutting off a truck or bus in traffic or on a highway to reach your exit or turn. B, cutting into the open space in front of a bus or truck, which removes the driver's cushion of safety. C, hanging back behind the truck or bus as you approach a single-lane construction zone. Or D, because of its larger size, a tractor-trailer often appears to be traveling more slowly than it really is, so many car-truck crashes take place because of that.
Is that the whole list, really? All of those sound like good answers. Is there an E, none of the above?
Nope, sorry.
I guess, man, I don't have a guess.
Man, me either. Is this a trick question?
Tony?
I'm afraid I'm with the girls. No idea.
Okay. The one that was not a common mistake was C, hanging back behind a bus or truck as you head toward a single-lane construction zone. That actually is the thing to do. Speeding up to beat the larger vehicle is a mistake many drivers make.
Of course. I should have had that one.
Yeah, we were all stumped. No worries.
No worries, indeed. I'm the master interrogator. Our next topic is pedestrians. Now, that's pretty much a no-brainer, I think. If you see someone crossing the street, or fixing to cross the street, as we say in Texas, slow down, use your horn if necessary, and be prepared to stop.
The pedestrian has the right of way.
Right. Now, there are groups of people to whom you should pay even closer attention.
You mean like kids?
Well, of course. Look out for the kids. But I was meaning another group.
Maybe blind people. If you see a guide dog or other assistance animal, or if they're carrying a white cane.
Yes, ma'am. Especially watch out for blind persons at bus stops, intersections, business areas, and near schools for the blind.
Duly noted.
Okay, just a couple of more topics. You know, in recent years, light rail has been established in many major cities in the state of Texas. As you travel these areas, whether on foot or in your car, you'll need to know what to expect and how to safely interact with this form of mass transit.
Tony and I did a show in downtown Dallas a few years back, and we would cross the Dart light rail track in the West End. I remember noticing that the trains were really quiet.
Oh, I remember that. They were really quieter than a bus or a car. I mean, they're stealthy.
Very true. You shouldn't walk in front of, between, or behind the trains, and surely no one would do this. Don't drive or stop or park your vehicle on the tracks. It's dangerous and illegal. They may be quiet, but light rail trains are still heavy and can't stop or start quickly regardless of traffic flow, or your dumb self parking on the tracks. What about crossing the tracks?
Never do it.
Is that right? What if you're parked on the other side?
No. It's okay to cross, but only when there are designated pedestrian crossings and only when it's safe to do so.
Like when there's not a big train coming.
I don't know. It still seems scary. I mean, what if your heel got stuck in the tracks? I must have had a bad dream about this or something.
Me too.
Well, for sure you want to look both ways, just like your mama taught you. You better obey all warning signs, flashing lights and signals, and crossing gates.
Yes, you had better, because you will get a ticket in a New York minute.
Yes, you will. Okay. Stay alert when you're near a light rail track, because you might not hear them coming. Listen for horns or bells, and never, I can't even make myself say this is so stupid.
What, never put your ear actually down on the track?
Well, that'd be stupid too. But I was thinking you should never race a train or run in front of a train, and never try to beat a train to a crossing.
And don't do this that I see all the time in my hometown. Never drive around crossing gate arms.
That's right. Don't do that. And don't put anything on or near the tracks. Okay. Last mode of transportation for this section is the Segway.
I love Segways. I wish I had one of my own.
What even is a Segway? I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's like a little scooter, but you power along by leaning forward or to turn. It's so cool. We saw a family riding along in San Francisco last summer when my daughter and I were on vacation, and the kids were like, oh, we're so embarrassed to be driving Segways with our parents.
They are fun. And embarrassing to teenagers, no doubt. But there are some rules. You should really only ever operate them on a residential street, roadway, or public highway with a speed limit of 30 miles per hour or less. Only when what?
I don't get it. Are you supposed to stay on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Then I say when no sidewalk is available.
And you would be right. All right, when else?
When an officer of the law tells you to?
Or a traffic control device, I'm thinking.
Both of you right, and also while making a direct crossing of a highway in a marked or unmarked crosswalk. That's it.
You mean it's finally time for the section questions?
Yes, and another video. This one is quirky, so pay attention, and we'll see you next time.
This section also contains video media. If you have previously downloaded the media to your device as an audio podcast or a video podcast, then please watch the video now. The video will automatically play when you log into the quiz. If you have already watched it, clicking on the Continue button will take you directly to the quiz. The quiz does have questions pertaining to the video, so be sure to watch it in its entirety.
VIQ, the Vehicle Intelligence Quest.
How smart do you drive? Where, when, and how to use a wireless phone? It's up to you.
Hi, I'm Walter Beckstover, your host of VIQ, the show that asks you to make the call about driving responsibly. In this edition, we're exploring the high-octane world of Vehicle Smart.
And I'm Cuppy Peterson, the driving force behind this series. Thanks, Walter. So anyway, where were we? Ah, yes, Vehicle Smart. Some of us are awesome drivers. It just comes naturally. And well, for others, well, it isn't so easy. Driving requires total concentration. We all have different levels of natural vehicle intelligence, or VIQ. It's easy when everything's perfect. Great weather, 6 lanes, and no traffic. But no matter how smart you are on the road is always ready to outsmart you. Bad weather, noisy passengers, road debris, confusing signs, distracting billboards. Conditions like that make using a wireless phone an extra challenge. And for some people, driving seems to be the last thing on their mind. They're busy eating, reading, writing, saving, putting on makeup, among other things. Smart driving will give you the edge. That's why working to increase your vehicle smart, or VIQ, is as important as your license to drive. In fact, it's your license to stay alive. Now get ready to challenge your VIQ. Over to my colleague, Jeremy Romero.
Thanks, Koopy.
That's Cuppy.
Koopy?
Cuppy.
Koopy, right. Distractions on the road have been a concern for a long time. Can you guess when this statement was made? Some states don't want to permit radios in cars at all. Radios distract the driver and disturb the peace.
That was written over 70 years ago, back in 1930 in the Farmer's Almanac. Back then, car radios were a new gadget that worried some people who feared they might be a distraction. Like wireless phones, drivers need to use their radios responsibly. Wireless phones and radios can both be useful on long trips.
Next, a chance to challenge your VIQ in another edition of What Would You Do? Check out the upcoming driving dilemma and try to solve it. And now, Jonathan Livingston with a special report. Jonathan?
Thanks, Walter. There's a time and place to use your wireless phone. But how about this scenario? It's your call.
Hey, Nick! You sure this is a shortcut?
That's what the map said. Hey, Abigail, this burrito I found back here tastes funny.
Burrito? That's not a burrito.
I don't feel so good.
Nick! You okay?
There may be more than one right answer to this VIQ thinking pitch stop. If you were Abigail, what would you do? Would you A. Make a quick call for help while driving, B. Pull off the road to a safe spot and make the call on your wireless phone, C. Send a quick text message while driving, D. Make a quick call using your hands-free headset? So what do you think? Well, Abigail thought her best choice in this situation would be to B. Pull off the road to a safe spot and make the call on her wireless phone. When you're driving and find yourself in an emergency situation, your wireless phone can be a big help. Pull off the road to a safe area and make the call on your wireless phone. And safe means as far off the road as possible. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jonathan. Coming up next. So, it is often better to pull over to use your wireless phone. Some people, because of the kind of work that they do, choose to use their phone while driving, like the driver you are about to meet. We go to the field. So, Sean Lapato. Sean?
Thanks, Jeremy. Here's another situation to ponder. Meet Sophie. She works for an organization that raises money to build affordable homes for the homeless around the world. She's on the road a lot, speaking to organizations asking for help. So far, she's been reluctant to use her wireless phone during her long trips on the road. But she's sure she's missing some good calls that might mean a home for the homeless. There may be more than one right answer to this VIQ thinking pit stop. If you were Sophie, what would you do? Would you A. Get a wireless phone and use it carefully as often as you like? B. Get a hands-free wireless device and use as often as needed? C. Stop the car and use a payphone when you need to make a call? D. Let voicemail pick up the messages and return calls when car is not in motion? So what did you choose to do? Well, Sophie feels her best choice in this situation would be to B. Get a hands-free device and use as often as needed. Sophie's mission is important to her. She chose to get a hands-free system and feels she can still drive responsibly when she does feel the need to be on the phone. There are several hands-free models of wireless phone technologies: an earpiece, headset, or a hosted voice-activated system allow both hands to still be on the wheel. And new technologies are always in development. And Sophie still uses other smart wireless tips, like alerting callers that she's on the road so she can keep her calls short and make the point quickly or call them back. Back to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Sean. 2 hands on the wheel is genius-level driving. Now, we put you back in the driver's seat in another round of What Would You Do? Now, to Tracy Wickham Purcell. Tracy?
Thanks, Jeremy. Here's the situation. Oscar borrows his mom's wireless phone and takes it to the beach. He instant messages his friends to find out where they're surfing. He jumps in his car and messages his friends that he's driving to meet them, and as he's signing off, he gets a short message from his girlfriend, Trudy. Oscar, did you forget? You said today we'd go to the mall. Oscar puts his phone down in the car and drives off towards the surf spot. The phone rings. It keeps ringing. He glances down and notices that it's Trudy calling. What would you do if you were Oscar? Would you, A, just let it ring, let voicemail get the call, call back later? B, answer and explain the mix-up to Trudy? C, pull off the road to a safe spot and call Trudy? Oscar thought the safest choice for all concerned was to A, just let it ring, let voicemail get the call, call back later. When Oscar parked the car, he retrieved his email and called back Trudy to say he was driving, and decided since the sun was glaring in his eyes and he didn't get a chance to get his mom's headset, that he shouldn't pick up the phone. Oscar used the extra drive time to dream up a good plan to still go surfing and to go to the mall with Trudy. Whew, that was a close one. And now a special wrap-up report from the Licensed with Poetic License, my esteemed colleague, Walter Backover.
Distractions. They'll always be part of the driving experience. Ultimately, it's up to you to drive smart. Focus on the road and drive with both hands on the wheel. When you do use your wireless phone, just consider the following points and you'll be driving smarter and safer. Stop driving and find a safe spot off the road when you need to make a call. Allow your voicemail to answer calls when you are driving. Free up your hands. Use a hands-free device. Exercise your memory. Know your keypad. Remember to check your state and local laws on wireless phone use. And lastly, remember, not everyone driving out there has a high VIQ, so be alert for them. Well, that's it for this edition of VIQ. We've got many miles ahead of us, so remember, don't eat weird stuff. Don't forget important appointments, and don't drive and feed birds at the same time. Always drive responsibly. Call with care. Be a genius on the road. Show off your VIQ. Drive smart.